Well, the official trailer for seasons 2 and 3 of Fooly Cooly has officially been dropped by Toonami at Anime Expo 2017. It's not a very long trailer, it's only about 30 seconds, but we really get everything that we need here to get us excited about the story. We get to see Haruko again, we get to see the new main character Hidomi, a little insight into her personality, we get to see one of her friends, we get to see some new characters, and the most exciting part of the trailer for me was all of the different texts that popped up explaining that, you know, the original director of the story, Tsurumaki, he's coming back as a supervisor. The screenplay is written by the same guy from the original story. We have the pillows returning. The pillows! Big part of this. Like, seriously, like, it's not Fooly Cooly without the pillows. I'm not, like, so super weeby Japanesey that I just sit around and just listen to nothing but Japanese rock and Japanese pop. You know, I mean, sometimes I'll listen to some of that stuff, but it really is, though, one of my favorite bands because of Fooly Cooly. And not only that, but the band itself had a huge uptick in Western audience when Fooly Cooly first aired in America back in 2003. I even think they went on tour here back then. So, the Pillows are back, and I'm very happy to see them again, with some new music to accompany the story. You know, this would be the time where I sit back and I say, man, this was Fooly Cooly. All my worries about this project have been blown away. This is truly Fooly Cooly. To be honest with you, I never had any problems with this whatsoever. I was never sitting around thinking like, oh my god, they're gonna ruin Fooly Cooly. My favorite anime of all time, and they're just gonna ruin it by this sequel. No, that wasn't my thoughts at all. Even in the earliest stages of this project, I knew Gainax was going to be involved. I knew that it was going to be like a joint operation between Gainax and Toonami. I knew that Toonami was going to do us right, because Fooly Cooly, you know, it's one of those things where when it first aired in Japan, it was originally an OVA that was spread out between like 2000 and 2001, right? And then it started airing here in the US in 2003. It was way more successful here in the US. Like, it just blew people away. Now, I don't know if that's just because in the original release in Japan, it was spread out over the course of a year. You know, you get like one episode every few months. Meanwhile, here in America, when it was released, we got to see them all stacked up next to each other to make a really good, coherent story on a weekly basis. So maybe that's why it really resonated home. Maybe it was because, you know, I had seen anime before this. You know, this wasn't like a new revolution of anime or anything like that. Like, by the time I saw Fooly Cooly, I didn't see Fooly Cooly until 2006. Apparently it was released in the US in 2003, but I don't remember it back then. Maybe that was only a DVD release thing. I don't know. But, you know, I'd seen anime before this. I'd seen Yu-Gi-Oh!, Dragon Ball Z, Yu Yu Hakusho, Pokemon, Naruto. I wasn't quite into Bleach yet. Even the fucking 4Kids dub of One Piece. I even saw that before I saw Fooly Cooly. But Fooly Cooly, man, it was something that was a little bit different. It was a little bit more of a mature factor. It didn't feature the same kind of, you know, plots and cliches as like your typical shonen. It really tried to sort of like put the main character Naota, who's just like an ordinary kid, his emotions, his, you know, problems and troubles with, you know, going into adolescence, you know, growing up, all these confusing things that are around him. It really tried to make that center stage. And it really was quite beautiful, the way that you know, mixed together with all the sci-fi anime nonsense that was going around him. It's really hard not to see what they were going for here with that. It's just like whenever Naota's having a really intense moment in his life where he's just like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. We're not even just talking about the science fiction shit. We're talking about like when the giant robots, we're just talking about like, I don't know about my feelings for this girl, and I don't know about my feelings for this person, and what the hell's going on in my life? I'm so confused right now. And that's always juxtaposed with, like, shit hitting the fan, you know, just when Naota's having these problems, you know, and about to break down, that's when a giant fucking robot pops out of his head, and it's like his thoughts are made manifest in the form of these robots, you know, to take, you know, symbolism a little bit further. Maybe that's the reason I liked it so much. I don't really know. But I know at the time, I think I watched this story the best possible time I could in my life. I was 13 years old when I watched this, and it really spoke to me, just, you know, my own problems that I was going with in middle school, going into high school. It really spoke to me. So, upon hearing that this project was going to be continued, I was fine with that. I was 100% fine with that. I thought they were going to do us right. And you know what? There was also a part of me that felt like, you know what? At least we're getting something else. Because this was a 6-episode OVA that was originally only intended to test some new CG technology. This was not something that was intended to be a cultural phenomenon. This was not Gainax being like, here's our next big hit. That's not what Fooly Cooly was meant to be. It was like, we need something to test this new technology, so they brought, the director, Tsurumaki, on, they brought the writers on, they got everybody together here, and they came up with this story, and that's what they did. And you can see throughout the story of Fooly Cooly, there's some really interesting, new CGI, for the year of 2000 anyway. But after that was over, that was supposed to be it. It was just a test, if nothing else. Watching it as a kid, even when I was like 13, I was like, this is never going to get a sequel. This is never going to be continued. This was never intended to have a long-running story. So I would always, back then, I would come up with fan fiction ideas, like where the story could go from here. A lot of people I knew that did that. I got the fucking box set. I got the freaking mail order t-shirt. I bought that fucking poster back there just for the reason, because I knew that this was coming back, so I bought that poster at Tekko just so I could have it back there doing this video. And you can bet your ass we're gonna do, episode discussions with this shit. I might just go back and do an episode-by-episode recap of every single of all the original 6 just for this. Holy shit, I would love to do that. Man. If YouTube wasn't such a bitch with copyright, I would love to just watch the episodes with you. Just sit down and watch Fooly Cooly with my fans. Man, that'd be fucking kick-ass, but YouTube's not a really big fan of that, so maybe we'll figure out another way to get that going, or just do a review or whatever. The trailer itself, Jesus Christ, I'm sorry, I'm just blabbering on about my childhood nostalgia. It's my favorite anime of all time, so just give me this. But there's a few things. Okay, so first let's talk about Hitomi. She is the new main character. We get to see her character design, which I'm a fan of. I'm really happy that they kept her looking like a normal teenage girl, because this is anime we're talking about here. Now, not that Fooly Cooly did that. Fooly Cooly was still very much grounded in somewhat reality when designing their characters, their human characters anyway. Probably the most ridiculous human character you have in Fooly Cooly is Amurao with his ridiculous, seaweed eyebrows, but everyone else looks fairly normal. You got like Naota's father, who looks he's got the fucking ponytail and the scruff, Naota's grandfather, Mamimi, she's a teenager, she's not super over-sexualized, but I'm glad they kept her like what you would see like a normal 12, 13-year-old girl looks like. She's having a problem very similar to Naota have, like nothing amazing ever happens here, this is just my boring, dull life, which is interesting because now it's a female, so we're gonna see like the same perspective that all the same shit that Naota had to go through, going through puberty, growing up, conflicting emotions about like, love and all these, crazy like hormones and everything like that. We saw it from a teenage boy's perspective in the original. Now we're gonna probably see that from a teenage girl's perspective. So that'll be cool. That'll be cool to see that from a different angle, not to just rehash it. I don't know if Naota's going to appear. I don't think it's actually been stated one way or the other that Naota's going to come back. But if he does come back, it's probably not going to be until like the second half of the season. It's broken up into 2 seasons, Fooly Cooly 2 and 3, and they're both going to be 6 episodes long, to kind of keep, I think, the feel of the original story. So we have 3 parts all cut into 6 episodes that really make it feel like a continuation. They could have easily just made it Fooly Cooly Season 2 and had it 12 episodes, but I like that they broke it up into 6 just to keep with the emotion of the original story. But if Naota does come back, I can see him coming back at like the like cliffhanger of season 2 as you see Naota, and then he shows up in season 3 as like a more of a, I don't know how much time has passed since the original. All it says is just like a few years have passed since that. So Naota might be in high school, he might be older than that. I'm not sure how that's going to go, but he most certainly will appear. We also get to see a new character. We don't get a name for this character, but he appears to be Hidomi's friend. Hidomi's friend. He seems to have very much of a similar appearance to Naota a little bit, at least with the hair. Naota's nerdy friend, whose name I forget right now, with the glasses, and he has the bandage on his head when we see him, and that would indicate that he is the next victim of Haruko's guitar. So yeah, we don't know how that's gonna go, because Hidomi is set up to be the main character, yet we have this other male character that's been like experimented on by, you know, Haruko with the bandage. Some brief scenes that we see of the animation makes it very clear that this is Fooly Cooly style animation. Very over the top, very insane, with like the run cycles. You know, it's like 1 second they'll be talking in a classroom, very normal. The next thing is like, we gotta go! And then just you know, that's what I love about it. Once again, that is Fooly Cooly. You can't have Fooly Cooly without that. Fucking pillows queue up in the background or whatever. The director of Psycho Pass is involved in this also as a supervisor, Katsuyuki Notohiro. And I only recently started watching Psycho Pass. In fact, I've only seen like the first 4 or 5 episodes of Psycho Pass. But the animation of Psycho Pass is beautiful. It would fit perfectly with this, you know, sci-fi anime, you know, robots fighting each other and shit, space adventures and all that crap. So that works perfectly. I know what? Even before I knew that Motohiro was involved here, I thought I got some Psycho Pass vibes from the trailer, because Hidomi is wearing these like cat earphones things that look like Wi-Fi, I don't know, Bluetooth, whatever, and they look really fucking unique, like a really cool character design. And the first time I saw those things, I immediately thought Psycho Pass. So I found out later that he was involved, and I was like, alright, that's cool, that makes sense. There's also some scenes here that seem very Evangelion-ish, you know, with the robots and everything involved, you know, Hidomi staring down this giant eye thing. That's cool. We get to see a new character introduced, who seems to maybe be related to Haruko in some way. She has a very similar design to Haruko. We get to see she has a little bit more tan skin, like tattoos under her eyes. She's also carrying a guitar. I don't know if that's like one of Haruko's, you know, associates with the fraternity, or like the Galactic Patrol, or whatever you're calling it. She has a guitar too. I don't know if that's like, maybe she's her supervisor, maybe that's her rival, maybe it's the new villain. I don't know. I would assume Medical Mechanica is still set up to be the villain here. They created a new entity called Fraternity, which I think is part of like the Galactic Space Patrol thing that Haruko is part of. It was never mentioned by name in the original. It was just like Space Patrol or whatever. But I guess that's what it's called now, is Fraternity, so whatever, give a name to it. I don't know if there's future plans beyond these 2 seasons. They might be just kind of biding their time to see how this season is going to play out, how it's going to react. Let me tell you, the official release trailer for this, released by IGN on YouTube, that only has like 136,000 views. And I'm like, blasphemy, you plebs! Do you not know anime culture? But I don't know. I feel like it should get way more than that, but that's just me. Maybe because I have such a nostalgia boner for this damn story. And I made some videos talking about like my personal, like, you know, growing up with it, so you could go check that out there. But I feel like, you know, if it does get more popular, if it does get decent hits, maybe they will make more seasons beyond this. If this is all what they're planning, though, is just to kind of do this to maybe bring the series to a conclusion, kind of the same thing that they did with Samurai Jack. You know, we're getting a lot of hits of nostalgia. It seems like Toonami gets it. Am I the only one that starts to notice this? You know, how many fucking TV shows that have aired had shitty endings or were canceled that a bunch of fans would love to see bring back, and these TV studios just won't do it? Like Firefly. Why don't you do that? Like, seriously, like, you know how many people would fucking, like, drop their fudge at Firefly being brought back? But they won't do it. It's like, well, I guess we just hate making money. You know, it seems like Toonami gets it. It's like, hey, all of these, all of the prime member of our audience, our demographics, you know, they love this series, Samurai Jack, but it got canceled. Maybe we should bring it back. Yeah, let's do that. And it was very successful. Hey, you remember this show, Fooly Cooly? It was only a 6-episode OVA that didn't intend to be anything beyond just testing some new CG technology, but Western audiences seem to really like it. I think we should bring it back. Okay, let's do that. Makes sense to me! Look at what your demographic wants. Look at what was popular. And then if it had a shitty ending, or at least it had an ending that was kind of lackluster, bring it back. There you go. Making money 101. Oh, man. But what else? I think that was everything from the story. I mean, we got some other scenes from, like, her, Haruko's Vespas, of course, going to return. We don't get to see Haruko until the very end, where we see her as, we don't actually see her. I mean, she's apparently supposed to be Hidomi's teacher. Like, she's masquerading as a teacher, and that's how Hidomi meets her. but we only see her just at the end, just like fluffing her hair up. But she's still Haruko. She still looks the same. She's still wearing the red vest and everything. So, and it's going to be released in 2018, coming next year in 2018. So, we don't have much longer to wait. We had about 2 years. You know, it's already been over a year and like 3 or 4 months since it was announced back last year. So that's crazy. Time flies, and I can wait for this. I could certainly wait for this. The time will come very shortly when I can sit down in front of my television and I can watch the next new episode of Fooly Cooly. And that gives me such a warm feeling in my heart that you just can't comprehend. Unless you have the same story as I did, you watch this right at the same time in your life when you could relate to Naota on a personal level and, you know, all the craziness that was going on with him. And you could relate to, you know, oh man, you know what? It's weird. My town I live in, very tiny town, but it also has a giant factory on the outskirts that, like, geysers smoke constantly. I'm not shitting you here. So it's like, I'm watching this anime at age 13, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? I mean, aside from them giant robots and teenage girls coming on to me, this is my life, you know? So, yeah, but I've been jawing on about this. I could gush about Fooly Cooly for hours. I really could. But those are my thoughts on the new season, on the new trailer. I will keep you updated on this as much as possible. If there's another new trailer, I'll be back here talking about it again. If there's any new, like, big news that's, like, earth-shaking, like, this person's gonna be this, I'm like, oh, shit, I gotta talk about that. And when it does get released, I will find some way to do, like, a live reaction of it, and I'll also I'll do reviews of it. You know, I'll try the easiest way for me to do that without getting copyrighted, but man, I'm pumped. I'm excited. I hope you guys are too, and let's try to get that trailer's numbers up. You know, I'm not saying, like, I'm going to be much of a help in that regard, but try to get it going up, man, because it deserves more hits. Thanks, you guys, for watching. This is Tekking signing out. Fooly Cooly.